the London Lowdown.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. This is the London Lowdown show. I hope you all have a good Monday and a good start to the week. It's another day close to the Chelsea and Real Madrid Champions League semi-final, which we're going to preview here today. I'm joined by Ladius Prime here today, guys. Ladius, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me on. You can call me Prime, that's what everyone else calls me.
Yeah, Prime, perfect. That's all good. Look, Prime, it's your first time on the show, obviously. For some of our viewers, they may not have met you before. Do you want to give like a brief introduction to the viewers?
Yeah. So my name is Prime. I'm from the Football Terrace. I'm a Chelsea fan. Yeah, I just give my views and opinions about Chelsea and football in general. And, my Twitter and my Instagram, actually, that's my handle, so you can catch me on there.
Yeah, perfect. All the viewers, make sure to catch Prime on that Twitter handle and Instagram handle also. Important thing you just mentioned there, he's obviously part of the Football Terrace community. He's part of that podcast, so he hosts and he presents on that. So make sure to catch him on there too. Look, I suppose first time we're in the semi-final of the Champions League since 2014. It's obviously a very good time to be a Chelsea fan with the FA Cup final coming up. We're still in the hunt for top four, and then obviously the massive game tomorrow against Real Madrid. How are you feeling ahead of the game?
Excited, happy, looking forward to it. I'm different from most fans. I don't get excited for these big games because and some may say that's a bit of, people can say it's weird or that I don't have love for the game. I think it's the opposite. I just because as fans, whether you support Plymouth or whomever, as fans, we want to play in these big games. We want to play in Champions League semi-finals, Champions League finals. We competing for the title and stuff. This is what we want to do. So for us to be in this stage and for me to be nervous or scared, for some people it's okay, but for me, I don't feel that way. I just want the game to be played now. I want to be I want to be watching the game now. You know, so I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, like you can kind of be either way. Some people will be very nervous, and then people like yourself then obviously won't feel the nerves as much. You're looking forward to it. Look, really looking forward to the game myself again. I think it's a bonus. I really didn't expect Chelsea this season, especially kind of how we were going in the league near the end of Lampard's tenure. I wasn't expecting us to get to a Champions League semi-final. Just to kind of be here. Obviously, when we get to this stage, I want to go all the way. We're well capable of doing so with only 4 teams left. Anything can happen, especially if you get into the final in a one-off game. It can go either way. But look, I suppose the nerves will start kicking in for me tomorrow, even maybe just before kickoff. But as of now, I'm fine. Like I think it's okay. Like I'm grand. But I suppose like an hour before kickoff when you see the lineups and stuff, because like growing up, obviously I've always liked the Premier League. But growing up for me, it's always been like the Champions League and the Champions League music that's got me in a right buzz and kind of like made me fall in love with football. So yeah, it's just I love getting to the latter stages of the Champions League, and obviously like we kind of touched on there, it's been 7 years since we've been there. Obviously the 2014 semi-final we played against Atletico Madrid, we were beaten. But kind of like growing up, like obviously being 24 now, kind of like my kind of first memories of football was kind of like 2003, but kind of from there to when we won it in 2012, we were consistently in the last 8 every single year. So I was so used to it. So it's unusual not being there with the past 7 years. But look, we're getting there this year, so we may as well enjoy it tomorrow and enjoy the second leg, and hopefully we can get into the final. But yeah, look, in terms of Real Madrid, I suppose, we know what they bring to the table in terms of the experience they have in the Champions League. Obviously, 13 times winners. They've won it more than anyone else ever had. I'm not sure how many times they've appeared in the Champions League semi-finals, but I know they've appeared there the most out of any other club. So they have very good European pedigree. Obviously Chelsea do as well. We've appeared in the semi-final more than any other English clubs. I think we've been in 8 semi-finals now. So like the club has a pedigree, been there, they've been there and done it. But in terms of the current squad we have, it's a very, very young squad. Obviously we have the guys that came through under Lampard. You have Reece James and Mount and Callum Hudson-Odoi, and then you have some of the younger players that came to the club this year, and Kai Havertz and even Ben Chilwell wouldn't have experience really in the Champions League, like the latter stages. So in terms of the players, I suppose it's kind of a relatively inexperienced team. You obviously you agree with that, Prime, do you?
Yes, there's inexperience. What was missing last season a lot was the leadership.
Yeah,
You could tell just all over the pitch, just a lack of leadership. And we bring in Thiago Silva, who
yeah,
probably only has one more season left in him, to be fair. You see Jorginho's being used a lot more in midfield. We're playing a back three or a back five, which means Aspilicueta can play more, who is our
yeah,
captain. We by CS, who's been underwhelming this season, and I don't rate him highly either. However, in the Champions League, in our last two knockout ties, he has turned up massively.
yeah,
So having
yeah,
that experience factor is important. But
yeah.
just because these players are young doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing. It means they're fearless and they haven't experienced the pain of being knocked out. So that could also be a good thing for us.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Obviously not the same competition, but some of these younger players that have come through, Mount and Reece James, they played together in the youth leagues, and they've won youth leagues before. I know it's not the proper Champions League, but it's the under-19 version of it. So they've kind of had that bond together coming through of winning things, and hopefully, like you said, that well, not hopefully. I know they won't be. None of them will be will fear Real Madrid. These younger players, I think, have taken everything in their stride since they've come into the first team. Even last season under Lampard, got us top four, and none of us really expected it. I don't think with the transfer ban and losing Eden Hazard.
I did.
You did you?
Yeah, I didn't want Lampard from the start because in terms of uh, challenging for the league or winning the league and building something sustainable, I didn't think he was of being able to come in and compete for top four or get top four. Like I didn't have a problem with that, and I I knew he'd be good enough to at least do that. And a
Yeah,
lot of Chelsea fans who backed Lampard, but they were saying we'd finish seventh and eighth, and we're extremely underestimating our squad last season. I mean,
yeah,
my my target was, or what I wanted, or what was, get top four and get to a cup final, which, you know, when you look at how the season went and you really break it down, a lot of it was quite, even though we stumbled over the line for top, disappointing how uh, we're creating chances but we couldn't score. The fact of our defense was uh, extremely leaky. Just the whole thing in general, and I don't think a transfer ban is a valid excuse to use. And
hmm
because the squad we had is good enough to be in the top four or to challenge for top four anyway.
yeah,
And losing Eden Hazard is only an excuse you can make if you don't challenge for the league. It's
mm.
not an excuse to make as why we can't get top four.
Yeah. I suppose, and especially when you had Christian Pulisic coming in as well. Obviously signed in the January, but coming in the summer window. Like obviously he's not
Yeah.
on like the level that Hazard was, but it was a very good addition to have in the team. So
Mm.
yeah, completely get where you're coming from. I suppose look, kind of for myself, I expected us to challenge for top four. Last season under Lampard, I was a small bit pessimistic, I suppose, thinking like we can challenge, but if we don't get fourth, like I wasn't expecting it like to coast into the fourth place and get a Champions League, but like you kind of with the squad, we were kind of expecting to be up there and thereabouts. And I think my big fear really with the transfer ban was that the others would build last summer and we wouldn't. But obviously it worked out for us and we got top four. And when you look at this summer, the money that we spent, it kind of played into our hands really with COVID coming along and obviously hitting the transfer market and the money that teams have. And we had a lot of money last summer and we do again this summer. So it kind of played into our hands really. But yeah, look, we got to the cup final top four last season. I was really happy with that. And this season, a lot of people actually thought we were going to challenge for the title straight away. Obviously, we do have the squad and we have the quality there, but with so many signings at the start of the year, I kind of thought to myself that we may drop a few points at the start of the season where the players are gelling in. I thought it might be too much to make up coming to the end of the season. But look, if we can get top four this year and get Champions League and build on it again in the summer, kind of added to one or two players that we may need, I think we should be challenging for the title next season, especially with Tuchel there. Just in terms of like the Champions League qualification, yeah, go ahead, Jet.
Yeah, so long as we can, I mean, we're linked to. Actually, we did the show on this on the terrace today, in the afternoon. We're linked with Varane, Declan Rice. Links are coming about.
Yeah,
we've been linked to Haaland and Lukaku. If we can get, centre back, like a top quality centre back, we can get a quality DM to come in rotation with.
yeah,
Are already, because Kante, as people can say, he is world class. Because if you have Kovacic and Jorginho, who I like as well, I rate them.
yeah.
But there's no cover. No one can come in and just give them a rest. And
Yeah.
Gilmore, there's a reason why Mount played in that pivot instead of Gilmore, which I don't know. Maybe it's a thing of Gilmore's just not ready yet. Again, I'm not going to complain. Take your time and let him actually develop properly. So maybe it is a thing where we need to bring in Declan Rice and there can be proper interchange and rotation with the four of them. And our goal scoring problems. Whether that's buying Haaland or it's buying Lukaku or Kane, or it's just the thing of Werner just needed that season and next season he's going to click and he'll score 30, 35 goals a season.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but once we can fix our goal scoring problems, yes, we could. There's no reason why we can't win the league. But I think no matter what next season, we should definitely, at the very, very least, be challenging and be in the title race up until the final 3 days or so of or 3 games or so.
Yeah, definitely agree with you. I've seen those links today actually myself, and I'm loving them. I think, like you said, I think DM should be a big priority this summer. I think Declan Rice would be perfect for the exact role that you said there. He can come in, like he's good. Yeah, he's good enough to start, like, and like rotate with, like, say obviously Kante is world class, but obviously you're not going to be able to play Kante for 50 games a season anymore. Exactly. He needs to be kind of managed. So with Declan Rice there and the other two guys, Jorginho and Kovacic, obviously you can kind of interchange with those depending on the opponent and give some of them rests. Yeah, look, I think if we can get like a Rice in, and I'd really like Varane. Obviously, the links are kind of getting stronger the last day or two. I think if you get a Varane, you can actually switch to the back four next season and get an extra body forward. That may be kind of a way of looking at kind of fixing our goal scoring problems this year. It could help a lot. I know, like the way we're playing with three at the back, I don't think it's particularly defensive, but I think we struggle to create chances with it sometimes against teams that are going to sit with a low block and defend. Like obviously seen it against Brighton, and then we've seen it there. We kind of struggled against Southampton. We drew on all as well and drew in little leads, but I think the centre back and centre mid, if we can get the two of those in, and then obviously the striker, obviously Haaland is next level, but if settling for Lukaku meant we could get Rice and Varane in the same window, I'd be all for it, because I do really rate Lukaku. I think he's come on so much since he went to Italy, but if you can kind of get him in and you can get Rice and Varane, I think that'd be a 10 out of 10 window.
Exactly, and also I think as not just Chelsea fans but football fans in general, I maybe it's a bit different because like United and Arsenal, Liverpool, they don't trust their board, so it's fine. But for Chelsea fans anyway, we all rate Tuchel. So whomever he wants, trust the to back him and give him the players that he wants. Because we've seen in the past, when Mourinho first came in, for example, and then he got sacked in that third season when he shouldn't have been, and we could have continued backing him and built a dynasty. Ancelotti, he was sacked in his second season because he lost the league by a few points to Man United. That shouldn't have happened. That was ridiculous. We bring Mourinho back, and people can say probably he should have been sacked. And when you look at what's happened at United, you could arguably also have said you should have backed him in that third season in the summer properly, and it wouldn't have
Yeah.
turned out that way. Conte in the second season should have backed him. He wanted Lukaku. We end up buying
Morata.
Morata, who was second choice. Like making stupid decisions like that. We bring in Sarri, who we actually could have built something properly with, but because our fan base didn't want him, Chelsea, the board went with the fans. And yes, I know Sarri also got an offer from Juventus, but if our fans were behind him and our board was behind him, it wouldn't have turned out that way. We should back Tuchel. If Tuchel says he wants a player from League Two, get him that player because it's. I don't know, but it's worth it. City do the same thing with Pep. They trust him. They got rid of Sane, or they let him go on a free. Sane's one of the most talented young players in the world, and they just let him go like it's nothing. This Keach, when even though he's old right now, he could still be making an impact in that Man City team. If he was playing against Spurs, arguably he could score a hat trick.
Yeah.
But Pep is keeping him on the bench, and he's allowed to do that. Pep is allowed to make these decisions because they're trusting him. So we should do the same thing. We should not. As fans, we always talk about how important we are to football, but yet we don't take responsibility for things. I think as be on our board's neck to back and trust in Tuchel. And next season, people are gonna if we get Haaland or Lukaku and we get Rice and Varane, people are going to expect us to win the league. And if we don't, rival fans, I don't care what they say, but Chelsea fans will look at that as a failure. I won't, as long as we're in the title race and we're very close, I won't necessarily look at that as a failure because you're building towards something long lasting.
Yeah.
We've seen what quit Mourinho back the second time, and we let Salah was allowed to leave, and De Bruyne and Lukaku. We know what Mata in his prime was allowed to leave. We know what quick fixes look like. And if, as fans, we don't want that anymore, you wanted the attract, because I don't mind the quick fix. I don't mind the defensive or counter-attack football. But if us fans want attractive football with Sarri, but yet you want him to leave, you wanted Lampard to come in, but he's not good enough, clearly.
Yeah.
Then with guy actually knows what he's doing. He's a tactician. He's one of the best in Europe. He's come in. He's played Mourinho. He's played Ancelotti. He's played Simeone twice. He's played Pep, Klopp, and he hasn't conceded against any of them.
Yeah.
The only manager who's given them trouble is Ollie, and we know how good Ollie is playing in those big games as well. So trust the guy and back the guy. You know, I think he's one of the best managers in the world, and him is Klopp, arguably, and definitely Pep. And we cannot get Pep.
Yeah.
So, like, don't complain about and I'm not gonna some lineups he makes are. Sometimes I might question them. The lineup at the weekend playing Christensen right centre back and Aspie as a wing back, I question. In Mount in the double pivot, I question, but I'm not worried or nervous because I'm at a point where I trust him.
Yeah.
So if he does something crazy, and sorry, I know I'm rambling. If he does something crazy, I'm not personally going to complain. You know, like for me, I've had trust in Mourinho when he was with Chelsea. Had trust in Ancelotti. I trusted Conte, and I trusted Sarri, and those managers won trophies for us.
Yeah.
Trust in this guy because he's going to do something. He's going to do something special, so long as we as fans allow him to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, look, kind of the big point I was going to touch on there that you were making, I completely agree with is like you were saying to back him. Like if when Lampard left, basically, like I was looking at the kind of manager options. Obviously, I wanted Tuchel, but there was literally no one else really there. Like you said, we can't get Pep, and Klopp is obviously a very good manager. We're probably not going to get Klopp either. Like, and I was looking at if Tuchel wasn't there, like who do you get in? And like you're kind of back to square one. At least if you back Tuchel and he does well, you have a very good manager there and you have something to build on. But yeah, I completely agree with your points on that one. Completely. Yeah, I think it's something that they look to do in the summer because obviously he's gained the trust now in these few months already. He's working with personnel that wasn't fully like it's not fully his. Like he obviously didn't bring in any players. He kind of just came in at the end of the window, and what he's working with now was already at the club, and look what he's doing with it. He's been nothing short of amazing. Gotten us to a Champions League semi-final, FA Cup final, still in the race for top four. And like you said, look at all the top managers he's beaten. I think he'll definitely get the trust in the summer and whatever kind of targets he wants. I think obviously he's going to have that discussion with the board and obviously Scott McLaughlin, the chief scout. But yeah, look, I think he's going to be backed in the summer and he'll get a big say. He'll get a lot of a bigger say in transfers than the likes of Lampard and Sarri got, I think. But yeah, look, from reports we've seen there the last day or two, obviously it's been reported that Varane is Tuchel's number one target at centre back. We'll see if he's back there and if we can bring Varane in because I think Varane is like the Athletic reported a while ago that Chelsea really want a commanding and a powerful centre back. Varane kind of fits that profile. He's a leader as well. Obviously, he's been there, done it. 4 Champions League titles, won a World Cup. In the Real Madrid team, he's obviously playing beside Ramos. He would have learned a lot of him. I think Varane brings everything to the table with what the Athletic reported, what Chelsea are looking at. Obviously, Rice is every fan wants Declan Rice. From what we've been hearing, obviously he's on the lips of the board as well. A lot of the board members want him, but it's whether Tuchel will want him or not. But I just can't see why he wouldn't because Rice has been nothing short of exceptional this year again, and he's such a top player. And obviously he's like a Chelsea boy, came through the youths until he was left go when he was 14. But you can tell by his interviews, even with Mount and those interviews he done, he's a proper Chelsea boy. And I think if he had half a chance, he'd come back to Chelsea in the morning. He'd definitely be back at the club. So it just remains to be seen now whether they back Tuchel and whether Tuchel wants the likes of Declan Rice or whether he wants another centre midfielder. But yeah, look, if we get a big window in the summer, there's no reason why we can't win the league next year.
Yeah, I agree. But again, I see. I would still put City as favourites.
Yep, definitely.
And obviously, it would also probably depend on the window they have as well, because they'll need to find a way to replace Aguero, whether that's by getting Haaland or buying Kane or Lautaro Martinez or whoever. They also have a striker problem, although it's not as apparent because they get goals from everywhere. But yeah, I would probably still put City as favourites.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's a thing of and it's just I hope the board do back him because I've seen this happen before, where we have a good period where we're a manager, and then we stop backing him, and then it falls apart because the squad cannot continue to develop, and the tactics can't continue to develop due to that because you have players that are not good enough to execute set tactics, and the manager is used as a scapegoat. I don't like that happening, and something tells me it might happen again.
Yeah, it's happened. It's such a recurrent theme with Chelsea.
Exactly, and on the Terrace, David says, "Well, we have a different board now and a different backroom staff, and that's fine." But it's just a thing of like I don't know. It's just if we don't do it this summer, then yes, I can believe things have changed. But I need to see some sort of evidence from that. If we don't get Haaland, but it's because we signed Lukaku or we signed Kane, then I'll see that we're backing him because I don't know if it's solely a Tuchel choice. I think it's just because he's this generational talent and Roman always wants to buy the best players in the world that he can. That's why we bought Hazard when he was available. We tried to buy Neymar. We wanted to buy Ronaldinho. We wanted to buy Roberto Carlos. We bought in Michael Ballack. He's always trying to make those sort of signings. And It's why we bought Havertz in the summer. And if we
Exactly.
get Haaland, if we don't get Haaland, then it will show me that that's the path we're building. But if
Yeah.
we buy Haaland, and again, Haaland's quality, so buying Haaland's not a disappointment. But it would show me that there's still going to be some sort of an agenda. If there's no complete faith in Tuchel per se, there's still going to be a thing of, well, this is a player I want, so you're going to buy this player. I'm going to buy this player for you, and you're going to just have to make him work in your team.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fairly accurate, to be honest with you. Actually, yeah, I agree with everything you said there yet again. With him, and I just hope he's going to be back in the summer. Just to kind of a point to touch on there when you're on about the board and stuff. Do you think the whole kind of failing with the Super League, will the board try and kind of look to the fans a bit more now and try and please them, like with because obviously a lot of the fans will want Tuchel backed. Do you think the board will that'll be an extra kind of incentive for him to back Tuchel in the summer and kind of get the fans back on side?
I think the fans are already back on side.
Yeah,
Look,
they
the
are.
Super,
Like, yeah.
League. I know everyone has different thoughts on the Super League. I'm not necessarily having a sort of, maybe Super League is the wrong word, but having sort of a competition where the best teams play in sort of like a league format every few years. That actually makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it would be not only quite lucrative, but it would be quite enjoyable for fans to see. However, the way they did this, where it's just a 20 team motion and it's all about money, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, the fact Chelsea were in it, Chelsea weren't the founding. Well, if you're in the league for the first time, you are a founding member. But Chelsea didn't create the league. Neither did Man City, for example. So they also fit what I'm trying to say. But the fact of they still went along to do it and it makes sense because the statement Chelsea put out.
Yeah.
Chelsea is a club about history, but we're also about ambition and making us the best club we can possibly be and the greatest club we can possibly be. If it's going to go ahead, helps us achieve that instead of being left behind to, I guess, rot away. So it makes sense being part of it. However, if it's a thing where if there's no choice, then yes, but we didn't want to be. And again, there were rumors that we were always going to pull out anyway. When you actually look into it, the fact of Chelsea themselves don't actually even own Stamford Bridge. It's owned by the fans or something like that.
Yeah, the CPO,
yeah. The fact of we're always going to pull out, and the fact that we had what team are we? The fact we had a midweek game just the day after the announcement of the Super League is actually quite, it's probably bad because there would have been an earlier announcement. But when you look on socials, on Twitter and Instagram, there was no announcement or talk about the Super League from Chelsea. It was all geared towards the game because it was a game day or a match day. And you see from other clubs, whenever it's a match day, anything else now really doesn't get talked about because it is geared towards the match and not losing focus. And the fans going out and protesting, there's nothing wrong with that. That's amazing, for Chelsea and Chelsea fans, and do that and make a difference and make your voices heard. But some of the things I was seeing where people were screaming and giving abuse to Peter Cech,
that pissed me off.
His fault and what he could do. The fact of people saying Roman should leave, hypocritical. So it's okay saying that spend 80 million on Havertz, spend 150 million on Erling Haaland, but because he wants us to be part of the Super League to make Chelsea the best team or the best club in the world, we don't want that. I find that to be quite hypocritical. I get United fans and Arsenal fans and Liverpool fans who hate their board. I understand that, but for Roman, making the choice for Chelsea to be in it, be from a selfish reason, from a reason of he hates the fans. There has to be some sort of logical reason to be part of it. And the fact that he was one of the first teams to even pull out, I don't think Chelsea necessarily owe us an apology per se, if you actually
Hmm.
think about it logically, but they did. They put an apology. It was great, and I guess we move on and we
Yeah.
just, like I don't have a problem with Roman at all. I don't have a problem with Marina. All I hope is from now forward, and we back Tuchel, and we again what they want to say, make Chelsea the best
Mm.
club in the world and the best team in the world. Then do that and do it properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, in our group chat and stuff, when it was all going on, even before we pulled out, um, the guys had asked me do you have a problem with Abramovich and that now? And I said no. I said I can never actually hate Roman. Like I can never and
Mm.
obviously like when he pulled out first, obviously like the Chelsea fans and I got a lot of praise for protests and stuff. But actually, I said to the guys, look, I said I know Chelsea went in the first place, and it's still wrong the way everyone went about it. But I said Roman had a lot of balls to pull the plug first before anyone, because like you said, he went in to make Chelsea the best club and to stick with the rest, because obviously with the rest going in and the money there, Chelsea could have gotten left behind. Obviously, we're in a very good position without the Super League, but we could have been left behind. And with Roman pulling out, he didn't know what way the rest of the teams would go. So like if we pulled out and we were the only ones, it could have been very bad for us. Kind of like if we weren't part of that Super League and the other clubs had that income and like the 300 million whatever that they were supposed to be getting for signing up for it. And I just thought it took a lot of balls for him to pull out, and I respect it. Look, like you said, it wasn't perfect the way everything
Yeah,
happened for all the clubs, but look, I've no grudges against Abramovich, Marina, any of them. I just want Chelsea to kind of to kick back on with things. We obviously have the business end of the season now, try and get good results, and in the summer back to Tuchel, and that's it for me. Like I literally don't have any problems whatsoever, and I just like you said, the kind of hypocritical point on Abramovich, like asking him to spend a lot of money and then just for trying to make Chelsea better, wanting him to leave the club, and that I didn't really understand it. Seeing the clips of Czech as well coming out and people giving him abuse and kind of shouting at him, that pissed me off. He had nothing to do with it. He was literally there with the team, and he was sent out to kind of make peace with the fans. But yeah, I thought it was just completely disrespectful to be shouting at Czech, and that just kind of be understandable that he's coming out on his own. He's just he wants the best for the club and the best for the fans. So I didn't really like seeing that. Um, so yeah, look, just going forward and kind of like with Tuchel's interviews now, I was sick of like the Super League questions after a day, and they kept coming and coming and some ridiculous questions. And like I just hope it's kind of the end of it now and it's put behind us and we can just kick on with the season and let the football do the talking now, and enjoy what's going to be like a roller coaster end of the season with the FA Cup final, the top four race, which is far from over. We have a lot of tough games coming in that, and obviously the Champions League semi final. Just to kind of move back to the Champions League semi final, I suppose. How do you see us lining up tomorrow night?
yeah. I think we'll get through. Oh yeah, we'll get through past uh sorry, my head's gone. We'll get
It's
through
okay.
past we'll get through past Real Madrid. I don't yeah, I do Ra- Real Madrid, I know they still have more or less their same players, but they're aging
Yeah,
drastically as they once were. Uh yes, it's a semi final, they've got the experience and they can turn up on the day as well. But eh, especially with Tuchel, there's nothing from them I really fear.
yeah,
Uh, Ramos is out. Ferland Mendy is out. Hazard, he won't start, but he'll come from the bench. But even
yeah,
then, I've seen the training clips people try to post to get hyped up about this.
yeah.
Hazard doesn't look that good. I've seen Hazard at his best. He doesn't look good.
Hmm. Yeah. Um.
Turn up as well. But yeah, I don't look. Real Madrid are the favourites, and they're going to come out to us and attack us, which fits well and works in our favour. So it'll be a close game. It'll be a tough game. It'll be an interesting battle. I'll enjoy it. Rival fans or neutral fans will enjoy it as well.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, we're going to go through. I don't. There's no team in Europe. I said this after the first leg. There's no team in Europe I fear playing, so it doesn't matter who it is, and hopefully we get past Real and we face PSG or Man City in the final.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm thinking the same. And like the big absentee for me really is Ramos. I think even though he's aging as well, I think like what Thiago Silva brings to us, I think Ramos can bring to their backline, that steadiness and that. And I know either Militao and was it Nacho did decent against Liverpool, but I wouldn't be like if we had Timo and Mount kind of coming up against Nacho and either Militao tomorrow. I know Varane is going to be playing, but like those two centre backs, I wouldn't be afraid at all. I think Timo on that would be well capable of ripping them apart. That centre back partnership. But look, against Liverpool, they had a lot of the ball, but obviously when you look at kind of Trent, Alexander Arnold, and the centre back partnership that Liverpool have, like the Real Madrid forward line, Vinicius ripped them open. But I just don't think they're going to get that space against Chelsea and that many opportunities against Chelsea the way Tuchel has us organised and the way we're set up. I think chances would be kind of like at a minimum for maybe Vinicius. Obviously, Benzema is a very good striker, but it's a different proposition to the Liverpool game for Madrid. I think Liverpool are very good going forward with Salah and that, but they're a lot more open at the back than Chelsea would be. I don't think they're as tight defensively as Chelsea are. So that kind of gives me a bit of confidence that way, especially with Ramos out now. Obviously, Ferland Mendy is out. Marcelo has been one of the best left backs in Europe over the past decade, 15 years. But from what I've been reading, kind of this season, any games he's played, his performance levels have dropped a lot. So maybe he's there to be got at. Also, another kind of member that's missing tomorrow is Valverde. He's a centre midfielder from. He may not have started with Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro there, but Valverde kind of brings that like kind of workmanship and kind of like high energy to the team where he presses a lot and he's going to be in your face the whole time. So he's missing. And tomorrow, obviously, he's isolating due to COVID. So yeah, look, there's definitely nothing to fear with Madrid tomorrow. Kind of the last week, I was kind of like, I think I was overestimating them. I was kind of after seeing them against Liverpool, I'm thinking like, whoa, they're good. But seeing the squad list being released this morning from Madrid, it's I think it's a far cry from the team that obviously won the 4 Champions Leagues. Like Ronaldo is gone, and like you said, some of the players are aging. And I think they're there to be got at. And obviously, I'm happy that we have the away leg first. To try and pick up an away goal or two, maybe. I think if we can be solid at the back, they're there to be caught on the counter. Liverpool had plenty of chances in that second leg, but as we know, they didn't put any away, which is the most important thing. But if we can be clinical tomorrow, I think we can pick up an away goal or two. Can you see a scoring tomorrow?
Yeah, I can see the tie, so over both legs, ending 2-1, and Chelsea go through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just Benzema's been so out. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Hazard, does he have a point to prove? And also with the Euros coming up as well, he's gonna want to play for that, and he's gonna want to be in the best form he can possibly be. So
Yeah.
it's a thing where Hazard is gonna slowly work his way back into form. I don't know, but I think over both legs, yeah, Chelsea go through 2-1. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the game. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. We haven't been in the semi-final of the Champions League for so long, and it's the standards that of the club. That's quite embarrassing, really. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously in the comments there. Good evening, Daniel. Daniel's in the comments again tonight. And then obviously Keane there thinks that if we keep Kroos and Modric quiet, we'll get the win in the 2 legs. Just kind of touch on that. I was actually going to say who I think is vital tomorrow is N'Golo Kante. Obviously he's pressing kind of on Kroos and Modric not to give them any time on the ball. They got so much time on the ball against Liverpool. They got to really do what they want and dictate the play. I think if Kante can have one of those games, his game against Atletico this season in the second leg is one of the best individual performances I've seen in a Chelsea shirt. I think if he can kind of bring that level again, I think he can. If he can kind of nullify Kroos and Modric, I think it'll give us a great opportunity, especially on counters, to kind of win the ball back and attack them. Because we do have plenty of pace up front if we get the ball to the forward players. Obviously, I think Pulisic is going to start. He done the pre-match conference today, so it looks like he's going to be in there. I suppose you're looking at Mount has to start, so it really depends on who's up front then, whether it's Kai or Timo up front. So it really remains to be seen. But yeah, I think Kante is going to be vital tomorrow. Are you kind of thinking along the same lines as that, or?
Yeah, I think Mount definitely has to play.
Mm-hmm.
He's important. Exactly like that comment said, the weekly armchair kickoff. If
Mm-hmm.
stopping Kroos and Modric, stopping that quality on the ball will be so important, and Mount has to play in terms of the press.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I'm assuming it will be Kante and Jorginho in midfield,
Yeah.
and having Kante be part of that at times when he drops is important. I think from the other two, I don't know. Havertz, yes, because of the way. However, we're going to be playing on the counter attack a lot of the time,
Mm-hmm.
and the counter attacking quality that Ziyech and Werner possess, it's too good to drop out as well. So I don't know, but it's not my decision. I trust Tuchel, so
Yeah.
whatever lineup he puts out there, I won't complain because I know he has a plan.
Yeah. Definitely. It was actually, when I was thinking of it today, really, I could kind of name the back three and the kind of flat four, obviously the wing backs and the midfield too. Obviously, we can kind of name all of those really that we think will start, but it's that front three. Obviously, Mount has to be in there, but it was the other two that I literally couldn't name because obviously you have the experience of Ziyech in the Champions League. You have Werner for counter attacks with like through balls, and if they're going to be playing a high line and counter attacks, you have Kai Havertz, who I think is gifted, and like he brings, obviously he's a different kind of proposition up front with playing at the false nine. And then obviously you Pulisic, who can pick up the ball and who can run with it, and he can win you frees high up the field and get you up the field. But it's really difficult. But look, like you said, whatever Tuchel picks, I'm happy with because I can trust him. Like he's proven it over the time he's been with Chelsea already. Obviously, some questionable lineups, and that some of us be kind of looking, and like even the first game against Wolves, where we seen Hudson-Odoi playing at wing back for the first time. I think a lot of people would have been kind of baffled with it when they seen the lineup coming out. But look how well he's done in the couple of games he played there. Obviously, he's probably not going to be playing there full time. If we do switch to a back four next year, he's going to be back on the wing. But some lineups that Tuchel has brought out, we question, but he's got it spot on 95% of the time. The weekly armchair kickoff podcast obviously said there about Kovacic having something to prove against him. Obviously Kovacic is out of the tie tomorrow. I think that's a big loss. I really like Kovacic, especially against teams that are going to press you up high, because he's very good at breaking the press. He's good at coming out from deep. He can beat players. I think we actually missed him a lot against the likes of Brighton when he wasn't playing. They obviously pressed us very high, and they put a lot of pressure on.
We had to play a mismounted or lopsided pivot, and I think but I think against he will be missed, because especially if Kante or Jorginho pick up a knock or they pick up a booking or something, and they'll be out. Like I don't know. For me, I'm just thinking, like, that's why all season I kept saying we need a DM. Like, and Chelsea fans laughed at me because he's English and they haven't watched him, so they don't rate him. And now everyone's rating him and everyone wants him. So if we had another DM in rotation, it would make things a lot easier for Chelsea and a lot easier to balance things. And maybe Kante wouldn't have so many injuries.
Exactly. Yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah.
Daniel obviously thinks to play on the counter, the spaces in the pockets, you got to be brave in possession. He thinks he fancies Chelsea over the two legs. Yeah, look, this first leg, I think we're going to see Chelsea kind of be devastating on the counter attack. Hopefully, if they can put the ball in the net, I think we're going to get a lot of chances from turnovers and stuff. Obviously, we've seen Liverpool get a lot of space against them, but obviously they didn't take their chances. But yeah, look, Daniel thinks as well. Then obviously be brave in possession, move the ball quickly. He thinks Mount will be key. Look, there was something you kind of touched on there, Prime, and it's literally, I don't think I've ever seen. Obviously, over the years it could have been, but from what I remember, I don't think I've ever seen a player as good at pressing as Mount. It's just something. It's not a needless press either. It's like he knows what he's doing every time, and he presses so perfectly, and he brings a lot to the team. Like last season, there was a couple of games where he wasn't playing, and I think our press was a bit broken. It was easy to get through the press, but when he's on, he kind of adds that extra bit to the press, and it's harder to break through our press. And I think we've been very good under Tuchel. Obviously, whenever we lose the ball, there's always 2 or 3 players on it straight away trying to win it back. So I agree with your point with Mount being like vital for pressing.
Last season at times we saw him press, but there wasn't a control to it in terms of like the direction, like how exactly to press or when to press. But how important he is to us, is he our best player in terms of talent or ability? No, probably not. But in terms of what he gives us, energy and just pressing a player and putting them under pressure to rush a pass or make the wrong decision, that can help us so much. And it's so important having him in the team that if for some reason he can't play in the second leg or if he misses the final, that will be a big miss to us, as crazy as that may actually sound.
No, completely agree. He's vital to us now, especially like since Tuchel came in. I think he's gone up a level even. I didn't think he was going to like be that good under Tuchel, but I think he's gone to the next level. He's really kind of added to his game. And obviously seeing against Porto in the quarterfinals, that half turn that he does, like it's so dangerous. It can break through any team, I think. He's done it a couple of times for us, and he's really, really good at it. So he could be kind of one of the outlets we're looking at tomorrow to get us through and get us that goal. Look, I suppose you kind of gave your score prediction. Do you think it'll be 2-1 over the 2 legs? Can you see us getting a win tomorrow, or kind of getting a draw tomorrow and win the second leg?
I don't know. I think I don't know, because the thing is, Real Madrid don't have a threat in their team other than Benzema.
Yeah.
And if we keep modern, I think we need. The thing is, we need an away goal anyway.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
even if it's a 1-1, yeah, okay. I think it will. The first leg ends 1-0. The second leg ends 1-1.
Yeah, no, that's actually, like when you said the 2-1, I had that in my head, and it was actually I expect this. I think we're going to win the away leg, and like the Porto game where we were kind of comfortable after the first leg, we seen the game through. I think we can do that again in the second leg. Hopefully not lose 1-0, obviously, like against Porto, but I think if we can kind of take a lead into the second leg, it will be very difficult to stop, and I think we'll be a lot more dangerous then, because obviously Madrid have to attack and get that goal in the second leg at Stamford Bridge, and if we can hit them on the counter, then it could be very dangerous, and it could be lights out for Madrid. But yeah, look, the most important thing tomorrow, I think, is that away goal and try and avoid the defeat. If you can get the away goal and avoid defeat, I think we're in a very, very good position, especially with, I think Kovacic is going to be back for the second leg as well, so that gives us that extra kind of pair of legs in midfield. If, like, obviously, like you kind of touched on tomorrow, if Jorginho or Kante kind of pick up an injury or get an early yellow, like it's something that we could kind of be nervous about. But if we have Kovacic back next week, then it'd be the option of 3 centre midfielders, and obviously Gilmore's another option, but he's not going to be thrown in the Champions League semi-final. But yeah, Kovacic will be vital in that second leg. Daniel said he'd be tempted to play Hudson-Odoi. Look, I really do rate Hudson-Odoi. I think he's a good player. James is going to start at right wing back tomorrow for definite. I think he offers that kind of defensive solidarity as well, and something that Hudson-Odoi may not offer. And then in the forward rows, obviously Mount is vital, and as seen today with Pulisic giving the pre-match press conference, it looks like he's going to be starting. So I don't think there's going to be a place in the team for Hudson-Odoi tomorrow, but he could have a big part to play on Saturday against Fulham, maybe when some of the players might not start that play tomorrow night. And then he's also on about Pulisic and Werner. Thinks they'll cause a lot of problems with the pace. He's going for a 3-1 Chelsea, which is, I think, is bold. 3 goals away would be, I think, tie over, but it's not out of the realms of like possibilities. But I don't think it's going to happen. But look, Daniel, if it does, fair play to you for getting that one right. Then the weekly Ironshire kickoff obviously says the pride of London and pride of Manchester win European competitions. Look,
Pride of
oh, Keno. If it meant United winning the Europa League for us to win the Champions League, look, I'm okay with it, because to be honest with you, United are probably going to win it anyway, the Europa League. But look, I take it if it meant us winning the Champions League. That's all I'd say on that, really. Look, I suppose we've given our score predictions. This is kind of like one last question, I suppose, before we finish up, Prime. So obviously we've the Champions League semi-final. We're still in the race for top 4, and in the FA Cup final. What are your kind of minimum expectations now, from now until the end of the season, and how big of an impact do you think being in the Champions League next season will have on our summer window?
Look, I've been saying all season we will get into the top 4 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Lampard, it may have been stretchy like last season, but we still would have got top 4 anyway. I think so. For me, top 4 is basically more or less confirmed. I just think we're in the FA Cup final now, and it's Leicester. So, and as good as Leicester are, we should be able to beat them. Mm-hmm. So it's just there's no guarantees, and even if we get to the final, we're still not favourites to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the season ends with top 4 and just the FA Cup, yeah, now, but where we were 3-4 months ago,
mm-hmm.
It looked quite bleak. So maybe Chelsea fans might take that into consideration, because some of us Chelsea fans are acting like we've already won it, which is, we might be in for a bit of a culture shock. But yeah, I think top 4 is quite important, especially if we want, Varane or Haaland or something. But look, if we win the Champions League, it's a massive statement. Like when we won the Champions League and bought Hazard, that sort of a statement, getting the most sought after player in the world, and putting a bit of a stamp down. And from there on, it's important to build, because we didn't build properly with Hazard.
Yeah, he was literally our one like quality player for years, like in the forward. And I don't think he got enough support really. Obviously, we had a few players over the years. We won a few competitions, but I think he was that. Like we depended on him so much over the years, and if he was in this team now like that Hazard, we have so many options there and such a good squad that some of the burden would have been taken off him. Another interesting thing, really, I suppose, when you said like about winning the Champions League in the statement, the last time we won the Champions League when we signed Hazard, the initials obviously were EH. Could possibly win the Champions League final this year, hopefully. And if we did sign Haaland, the initials again are EH. There's so many. Obviously you've seen CFC Dubois thread on Twitter, all the stuff just lining up, like it's mad. But look, I'm not going to put my eggs in the basket for all of that happening. But crazier things have happened. Like
I love the positivity from Chelsea fans. I just, again, and some people think like on the terrace, so people are thinking I'm cocky about it. I'm not. I'm just confident, and I want to play these teams, and I have no fear. But it's I don't know. I'm not. I know we haven't won it already. I know we're not. This Real Madrid game, we're not favourites because it's not where the experience should get you over that line. So if Real Madrid should, in theory, they should beat us. The same way, if we get to the final, PSG should beat us. They have Neymar and Mbappe, or
Yeah,
Man City should beat us because they have Pep. And they've got this amazing squad. So I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm more thinking a bit more level-headed, or maybe it's because I
yeah,
just don't want to, I guess, jinx it. Like
yeah,
Dubois
yeah,
red.
yeah,
I think the last time, like for example, Porto was it the first leg? The last time two English players have scored for Chelsea was when we won the Champions League. The last time we played a Portuguese club, we won the Champions League. We played a Spanish club in the semi-final. We won the like.
yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I just no. Just
yeah,
none of that getting everyone's hopes up, because if we lose the Champions League final, you know what Chelsea fans are like, and they'll switch.
yeah,
I'm too sure, and I don't want that. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. Look, I think that thread is it's crazy how many things line up. But I'm not going to pay too much attention to it, but it's a very good thread, and it's funny. Some of the stuff in it is funny how it's lining up. But look, I suppose just to kind of touch on Daniel's comment before we finish up, we spoke earlier on about the transfer window and what we kind of want Chelsea to do in the summer. Lukaku was one of the names mentioned, and I think we'd both definitely take Lukaku back. Obviously, Prime kind of touched on it. Like Tuchel kind of seems to be interested in Lukaku, and we're just hoping that like Roman and the board kind of back Tuchel and kind of for his targets, and not just kind of bring in players like that are on the board and tell Tuchel to fit them into the team whatever way he can. So yeah, just look back Tuchel in the summer, have a good end to this season, back Tuchel in the summer, and have a title charge next year. That's exactly what a lot of the Chelsea fans want, and I think it's fairly realistic. Obviously, Brian touched on City; will probably be the favourites for the league again next year, but there's no reason why we can't take it down to the wire against City next year and fight until the last day or two of the season. Look, we've had our preview there. Then obviously on the semi final tomorrow night, it should be a cracking game. I think it's going to be this semi final tomorrow is going to be kind of tactical. I think towards maybe the one Wednesday night we might see a lot of goals in the one Wednesday night. I can't imagine there being too many goals in Chelsea Real Madrid. It's going to be kind of a fascinating encounter. Um, See how Chelsea are going to get on if they can get that away goal, get a win. Praying they do. Set up a good second leg back at Stamford Bridge next week and have give us a chance to get into that Champions League final. It'll be our first one since 2012. Obviously, we won it. Um, but look, just to finish up anyway, I want to say thanks a million to Prime for coming on. Really appreciate it. It was a good show. Obviously, everyone, you can see his Twitter handle and it's also his Instagram handle below his image there. Make sure to give him a follow. Make sure to go to the Football Terrace and see him on other shows and get in the comments over there and interact with him. And obviously, my Twitter handle is under my image there. Make sure to give me a follow on Twitter. Always looking to interact with people and kind of have a chat about football and just enjoy it and have a good time on social media. Obviously, kind of shows coming up. Keane has Lou Macari on Thursday, which is going to be a fascinating show. It's going to be a really, really good show. So it's Thursday morning, lunchtime. Around that time is going to be on. So make sure to tune in on that and get your comments in and chat to Lou. So everyone, thanks for joining in and having your comments in tonight and making the show good again. Really appreciate all your support over the time, and make sure to give the weekly Armchair Kickoff a like and subscribe on Twitter. Thanks everyone.